This year, we see news organisations under pressure as never before. Pressure from new competition, pressure on business models, and chiefly pressure from technology and from new consumer behaviour, with the smartphone the key agent for change. And for young people in particular, the newsreaders of tomorrow, a significant proportion of 18 to 24-year-olds now say the smartphone is their main way of accessing digital news.
So I like the smartphone because, especially in the city, it's nice to just have, because you always have it with you. So when you have downtime, when you're sitting on a bus or sitting in a cafe, it's right there and you have all the news right at your fingertips.
It's easy. It's easy to read things, it's easy to find things, and it gives you access to multiple different platforms.
As for television news, I don't really watch it on a daily basis. I'm much more used to getting my news from the internet because it's so easily accessible and convenient for me. And as for newspapers, I think I just don't have the time to pick up a newspaper every day and read through it. So I just get most of my news and convenient little updates on my phone.
In many cases, young people seem to be accessing different sites on smartphones as well as tablets and computers. Social sharing sites like BuzzFeed have been expanding internationally using new formats like lists. And in the United States and Japan in particular, we also see the Huffington Post and Yahoo and other new players gaining ground. So in total, they're pretty much as popular or more popular than traditional media brands. But this remains an uneven picture, and in countries like the UK and Finland, we see much less disruption to traditional media.
New sources of competition online mean that traditional media companies aren't just fighting for attention, but for revenues too.
Bild Plus, das ist Bild überall.
We're now seeing some mass-market brands experimenting successfully with paid content. Bild Plus in Germany is one example of what our data tells us is a growing move to subscription. And in the UK, The Sun and The Telegraph have joined the paywall experiments launched by The Times and The Financial Times. However, in general, we find that users are still reluctant to pay for news online. Most reluctant in the UK and least reluctant in Finland, where 14% have paid for online news in some way over the last year.
This year we have unique data looking at which social networks are used most for news. What we find is Facebook is the most popular pretty much everywhere, but then you get much more fragmentation. So Twitter's big in the United States and the UK, Google Plus in Germany, but the big surprise is the emergence of WhatsApp as a serious player in news. We see it in Brazil, we see it in Spain, and we see it in other countries too.
If you look at WhatsApp or similar apps like that, it's grown hugely in India. It's most people are now shifting away from SMS to WhatsApp. That's one. And secondly, it's become a platform to, for news, for political parties to lobby. In this elections, we have seen, at least 2014 elections, we have seen, and which is why the BJP, has scored hugely. I mean, they were miles ahead of the Congress. They use the social media, and mainly social media like WhatsApp. And then came Facebook, and then came, the others.
One final trend that emerges is of journalists beginning to rival traditional news brands as key drivers of trust, engagement, and consumer loyalty. This is partly encouraged by the nature of social media, which is driven by strong personalities. Almost half of news users on Twitter in the UK are following a journalist account, and we see that in some countries like Spain, France, and the US, the reporter is driving around as much trust as the brand itself. If traditional news organisations can work in a collaborative way with their star journalists, both can win. But if they fight the trend, they could face a further threat, with key talent deciding to distribute their own content across social and digital media.